Look, I mean, from the outside, assembling the absolute best football players on the planet just seems like this foolproof recipe for total dominance, you know? It's that fantasy football mentality we all fall into. You look at a roster, you see the highest rated guys, you throw them on the same pitch, and I mean, you just wait for the trophies to roll in.
Right. Yeah. Seems so easy.
But what happens when the reality of combining those superstars just turns into an absolute hierarchical and, frankly, tactical nightmare? Welcome to this deep dive. Today we are taking you deep into the current reality at Real Madrid. We're breaking down the actual locker room dynamics, the tactical paralysis, and the shadowy world of football agents. Our mission is to figure out why this supposed super team is tearing itself apart.
And it is tearing itself apart because, look, what we're witnessing right now, it isn't just a slight dip in form. We are looking at a fundamental clash of gravity.
Yeah.
Right now, there are three massive, undeniable alpha figures in that squad. You've got Jude Bellingham, VINÍCIUS Jr., and KYLIAN Mbappé. And, I mean, the core issue is that all three of them are actively vying to be the undisputed leader of the club for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
And you can't have three kings on one throne. It is psychologically impossible.
No, you really can't. And I want to start by unpacking the human element here, because before you even talk about tactics, you have to manage the actual egos in the dressing room. And I feel like the public narrative is just completely missing the mark on this.
Oh, completely.
Right. Because everyone assumes the tension is between Mbappé and VINÍCIUS just because they want to play the same position. But the real visceral war for control of this club, it's actually between Mbappé and Bellingham.
Yeah, that is the nuclear conflict right there. It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about two apex predators, but they operate so differently. Look at Mbappé. He's incredibly calculating. When he arrived in Madrid, he didn't just kick the door down demanding respect. He played the politician.
Right. He was the nice guy.
Exactly. He was the polite, charming newcomer. He systematically went around, winning over the staff, the players, the people behind the scenes.
Yeah.
It's a very specific kind of social intelligence.
Mm.
He built this massive coalition before anybody even realized what was happening.
Yeah, securing the power base softly.
Yeah.
And then you have Bellingham, who is just, I mean, the word that goes around is calentado, right? He runs incredibly hot.
Very hot. Yeah.
He is fiery, he's overtly demanding, and he expects everything to be done his way immediately. Like, if you miss a run, Bellingham isn't pulling you aside in the showers after the game. He will literally scream at you right there on the grass in front of 80,000 people.
Yeah, as a drill sergeant.
Exactly. So you have Mbappé playing this, 4D political chess with a smile, and Bellingham acting like this furious drill sergeant. And that brings us to VINÍCIUS, the third point of the triangle.
Which is fascinating because despite all the on-pitch stuff, the complaining to the refs, the stuff that makes rival fans furious internally, everyone genuinely loves VINÍCIUS. On a human level, he is universally liked in that locker room. He doesn't carry that Machiavellian weight.
And that's the kicker, right? Because Bellingham and VINÍCIUS actually have a fantastic relationship.
Honest, they do.
And when you realize that, it's this massive aha moment. Bellingham knows he's in a power struggle with Mbappé. So he looks at VINÍCIUS, this guy everyone loves, who doesn't even want to play the political game. And Bellingham realizes, this is my perfect ally. It's a proxy war. Yeah. He backs the guy everybody already loves to secure the locker room against Mbappé.
That is exactly how it functions. Bellingham sees that Vinny isn't going to challenge him for that vocal alpha leadership role. Vinny just wants to play on the left, score his goals, and, So Bellingham aligns with him. But let me push back a bit, because I know what you're thinking. History is completely full of legendary teams where the stars secretly hated each other.
Oh, absolutely.
So, can a team just win purely on talent? Even if the vibes are toxic?
I mean, in the short term, sure. You can win games because Mbappé or Bellingham just pulls off a moment of magic. But long term, across a grueling 9-month season, it is completely unsustainable. When adversity hits, that lack of trust just instantly turns into finger-pointing. The collective structure collapses.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, we don't even have to wait for that collapse because that locker room friction is already bleeding onto the pitch. They can't share influence, and they definitely can't share space.
Let's get into the tactical side of this, because this is where it gets really dire. If you look at the tactical blueprint, specifically what Jose Mourinho and his staff mapped out when they analyzed Madrid's struggles last season, there is a literal blueprint to paralyze this team.
Oh, the back five. It's brutal.
It is. Opponents figured out that if they deploy a back five, they can just completely neutralize Madrid. You put three center backs in the middle, and the right wing back steps up aggressively to pin Vinicius to the touchline. They just smother the left side of the pitch.
And they can do that because they literally ignore Madrid's right wing.
Yes. They shift their entire defensive block to one side and just dare Madrid to beat them on the right, because there's no threat there.
And so what does Madrid do to solve this massive spatial imbalance? They bring in Kylian Mbappé.
Which makes no sense.
Right, because Mbappé wants to play in the exact same left-sided zones as Vinicius. He wants to drift left and cut inside on his right foot. You haven't solved the problem. You've literally doubled down on it.
You've cast two lead actors for the exact same spotlight.
Exactly. And the compounding issue is the defensive work rate. Because if neither Vini nor Mbappé wants to track back, you are functionally defending with 9 men. Your midfield just gets completely overrun.
So the proposed fix for this, which we've seen floating around the coaching staff, is to force Mbappé to operate on the right, like he did for France with Dembélé and Olise. The theory is if you move him right, you stretch the defense, free up the 5 attacking lanes, and get space in the middle. But I have to call nonsense on this.
Go ahead.
You're telling me the grand solution for the most expensive, ego-driven attacker in the world is to just shove him into a secondary position he hates and just hope he's cool with it. That's like buying a Ferrari and using it to tow a boat.
I mean, you're not wrong. The collateral damage is massive. Because to make right-sided Mbappé work, you need insane defensive solidity behind him to cover his lack of tracking back.
Right.
That means you have to sacrifice a fluid player like Rodrigo. And worse, you have to pull Federico Valverde out of his preferred dynamic wider role and drop him into a deep double pivot.
Which is criminal. For anyone who doesn't obsess over tactics, dropping Valverde into a double pivot essentially chains him to the center circle alongside Tchouaméni. Valverde is a box-to-box engine. He needs to cover ground and arrive late in the box. If you lock him back there as a safety net for Mbappé, you are literally breaking your own midfield engine.
You are. You're cannibalizing your best midfielder just to accommodate an uncomfortable attacker.
So the logical question you have to ask is, why not just go into the market and buy a natural right-sided specialist? Go get Ousmane Diomande. But you can't, because the market mechanics right now are completely broken.
Oh, the market is a horror show right now. It's this massive financial bubble driven heavily by English clubs using amortization to cook the books.
Explain that, because people hear amortization and their eyes glaze over, but it's why Madrid is paralyzed.
Okay, look. When a club sells a player for, say, 100 million euros, they record all of that as immediate revenue for this year. They look incredibly profitable. But the buying club, they don't record 100 million loss. They spread the cost over a 5-year contract.
Yeah.
So they only take a 20 million hit this year.
Right, so it's basically fake money artificially inflating the market prices. Everyone is trading at these absurd valuations just to dodge financial fair play, and it drives the baseline so high that even Real Madrid can't sustainably compete in that bubble.
Exactly. But that's only half the problem. The other half is the super agents.
Yeah.
These guys realize that traditional transfer cuts, like 4 to 8 million euros, is pocket change compared to what they can squeeze out of free agency.
Yeah, and this is where you trace it back to Zlatan Ibrahimovic, right? Zlatan generated massive transfer fees his whole career, but the clubs kept the money. Today's agents looked at that and said, never again. They actively advise players to run down their contracts.
Yep. Because if the player is a free agent, the buying club doesn't pay an 80 million transfer fee. So the agent walks in and says, great, you saved 80 million, pay us a 40 million signing bonus, and they pocket half of it.
It's pure extortion. And that brings us directly to Ousmane Diomande. Madrid wants him, the tactical fit is perfect, but the whole thing is frozen because of a legal bloodbath over commissions.
It's a disaster. He was with Interlex, then he jumped to another agency, then unilaterally broke those agreements to sign with Rock Nation.
So he's just agency hopping for the biggest payout.
Exactly. And now his former agent, Max Gravel, has filed a massive grievance with the Court of Arbitration for Sport, the CAS. And when a player is locked in CAS litigation, buying clubs are terrified.
Because if Madrid signs him and CAS rules for the old agent, Madrid could be on the hook for millions in penalties or even get a transfer ban.
Right, so Diomande is basically paralyzed. His career momentum is completely halted while these agents fight in court over a hypothetical payday.
I mean, think about how grim that is. Agents are literally advising young players to stall their careers in international courts, just to guarantee a monopolized payout later. It's disgusting. But it explains why Madrid is trapped. You can't fix the tactical mess with the transfer because the market is inflated and bogged down in litigation.
Which leaves Madrid with this brutal, inescapable dilemma.
Mhm.
You're stuck with the squad you have. So who do you build around? Vinicius or Mbappé?
This is where it gets so heated. Because on paper, Kylian Mbappé is a cheat code. Even in a bad season, he guarantees you 40 goals. How do you objectively justify choosing against a guy who guarantees that volume?
Because the volume is an illusion.
Come on, 40 actual goals isn't an illusion.
No, the number is real, but the mechanism is an illusion.
Yeah.
To get Mbappé those 40 goals, the entire tactical structure has to bend to him. The midfield sits deeper, the wingers vacate his space. You are literally sacrificing the collective goal-scoring potential of the team just to maximize one guy's stats.
Okay, yeah. And the proof of that is literally the 2024 Champions League run. Think about it. In 2024, they didn't have a static, ego-driven striker. They won through shared responsibility. Without a guy standing in the left half space demanding the ball, it created a vacuum.
And dynamic players attacked that vacuum. Bellingham arriving late in the box, that's how he scored all those crucial goals. Vini had total freedom. Even Joselu became a hero. The system relied on cohesion. Now that Mbappé is standing in that space, Bellingham's runs are blocked. Everyone had to take a step back.
But if you look at the boardroom, the financial reality is totally different. The club has drawn a hard line with Vinicius. They refuse to raise his contract offer by a single euro. They've run the data, they know his economic value, and they've basically told him, take it or leave.
Well, they know Vini is in his comfort zone, right? He has his life in Madrid, his endorsements. But the hierarchy, they look at Mbappé and see the ultimate commercial asset. If they're going to run a Ballon d'Or campaign, the massive Real Madrid PR machine is going to back Mbappé over Vinicius every single time. It's a status choice.
But logically, as a football analyst, if you know Vinicius is a better tactical fit for this specific squad, don't you have a responsibility to keep Mbappé anyway? Isn't it just madness to sell a 40-goal marketing juggernaut, even if the locker room vibes are terrible?
It is not madness if you prioritize winning over brand building. Structurally, if you remove Mbappé, you instantly solve the clash on the left wing, you restore your defensive pressing, you free up Bellingham. Historically, you always keep the player who makes the system functional over the player who demands the system serve him.
Wow. I mean, it is a terrifying gamble either way you slice it. So look, let's synthesize this whole mess. We started in a dressing room suffocating under 3 massive alpha egos, with Bellingham using Vini in a proxy war against Mbappé.
Yeah.
Then we saw how that bleeds onto the pitch, where crowding the left wing creates a traffic jam that opponents easily exploit with a back 5. We learned that the transfer market is way too hyperinflated and legally toxic to just buy a quick fix.
Right, because of the agents.
Exactly. And it all funnels down to one agonizing choice. Do you prioritize the global superstar brand or the collective cohesion of a balanced team?
And when you look at it from that macro view, you realize Real Madrid's biggest obstacle isn't Barcelona. It isn't Bayern. It's their own center of gravity. They are forcefully trying to merge pieces that just chemically repel each other.
And every dropped point just turns the temperature up.
Oh, the pressure is going to be immense. But I want to leave you with one final thought to really mull over. If a club has to actively choose between accommodating a superstar's stats and maintaining a functional team, does modern football's obsession with individual awards like the Ballon d'Or actually destroy the very concept of a great team?
That is the exact dilemma hanging over the Bernabeu right now. If you want more raw, unfiltered truth about what's really happening at this club, you need to be following Bernabeu Notes on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok right now.
Yeah, hit subscribe, guys. We don't sugarcoat anything here.
Exactly. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the narratives, watch how these tactical realities play out on the pitch, and we'll see you next time on Bernabeu Notes.